Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to episode number 5 of Beer vs. Ivy. I'm Sangersall, brought to you with my amazing co-host, Jackson Gross. Jackson, it's Monday. How are we doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been a crazy week. On Saturday, I worked a 9-hour shift at Walgreens, and I feel like I'm still recovering from that. Overall, the weekend's been good. Rearranged some furniture in family room. Got to put together a few more Legos this week, so that was fun. Got another one on deck. It's a TIE bomber. It has Darth Vader in it. That's probably the only reason I got it, but that'll be fun. But yeah, things have been going really well overall. Not having cable and not like choosing to watch the Bears has made my Sundays so much more enjoyable. So it's just been good. I've been excited watching the Bucks here and there, watching the Bulls here and there, even though they're infuriating as well. But overall, things are going really well. How are things with you, Si?
Things are good. I just last night got back from a little weekend getaway with my friends down in Branson, Missouri, which was super duper fun. Had a super nice Airbnb, got to enjoy each other's company, and it was just super fun. However, now it's still October, but it's 32 degrees here in Illinois. And I think that's about 20 degrees too colder than it should be. And I don't like the cold. So waking up this morning, walking to class in the cold, have my beanie on, have my coat on. I don't like the cold. But outside of that, I'm doing great. It's Monday, here to talk some baseball. And, well, and we got a new intro. Like,
Yeah.
wow.
Shout out to our guy Bruce.
Chills, Bruce. Chills. That is phenomenal. But enough talking about the intro. Let's talk about some baseball.
Yeah, and quick note before we move on, just to be thankful you didn't live in a college that was right by the Lake Michigan during the winter, because lots of snow up there in Milwaukee at Marquette. So just be grateful for that. Be grateful for that.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
grateful for sure.
yeah. But anyway, getting to what we're here to talk about. We finally got here. It's been 162 games of the regular season, 3 rounds of the playoffs, but we're finally here. We're at the World Series. We're already 2 games into it. Sits at 1-1. Everyone's prediction from the beginning of the year, the Texas Rangers and the Arizona Diamondbacks, everyone predicted them. No one had the Mets or the Yankees or the Dodgers or the Cardinals in here. No one picked any of those teams. It was obviously the Rangers and the Diamondbacks. Anyway, in all seriousness, we're here. The first 2 games have been awesome. The first game more so than the second game. But Simon, what have been like your initial takeaways from 2 games of the World Series?
First things first. First things first. Let the kids play. Like no one expecting them to be here now they're in the World Series. This has been crazy. I just need to listen to my heart, stop listening to my head, because if y'all remember last week when we were talking about the NLCS Phillies in Arizona, I remember I said my heart's telling me that the Diamondbacks will win it, but my brain's telling me that they're overpowered. And frankly, I think it's not listening to my brain, listening to my heart, because, well, the Phillies choked. Let's just put it simply. But these World Series games have been absolutely amazing. Former Cardinal Adolis Garcia walked it off in Game 1. And then Game 2, the Diamondbacks bounced back in the best way they could, taking game in Texas, which is going to be crucial down the line that they took that Game 2. And now we're at a pivotal Game 3. We have a quite interesting pitching matchup on the line tonight. And, well, I got no complaints over here. Some good old baseball. Because, frankly, I'll be happy if either team wins.
Yeah, I have to ask, how is the cash considerations working out over there in St. Louis? I haven't really heard much about cash considerations doing much with the Cardinals this year. So
I'm still trying to figure out who the cash considerations went to. because no Twitter. My bad. X has not really been giving me much info on where this has gone. But you know what? Maybe we haven't used the money yet. Maybe the money's gonna go to our guy Aaronola. Who knows? Who knows? But it's okay
Oh man, that
because
was
the Rangers also DFA'd Dolis Garcia. None of the other 2019s want to pick him up. So I'm okay. I am content.
man, but no, that was awesome. I got to watch his home run live. It's one of the few times I actually got to watch some postseason baseball live this year. And that was just awesome because it was like one of those moments like you wish that it would happen just for like I got no skin in the game, so I don't really like. I'm happy with either team that wins. But I love Adolis Garcia even before like he's popped off these playoffs like during the regular season. Like there were several times me and my brother did a draft in like MLB The Show, and I would force him to take Adolis Garcia to play right field. Like
Trust.
he's just so much fun. I love
Yes.
guys that just they have fun. And yeah, it'll look a little silly when you pimp a single to left field, but that's gonna happen all the time. Like I saw this interview that Patrick Wisdom was doing with somebody, and he was talking about Jacob DeGrom, or no, it was Mike Holt, and doing one where it's like, oh yeah, I pimped a strikeout thinking going against DeGrom. So, but yeah, anyway, I love Adolis Garcia. Game 1 was awesome. Game 2, obviously, that was a big game. Merrill Kelly has been the Diamondbacks ace this postseason. Like, I
really
am.
has.
I have been shocked. Not necessarily like I've been a little surprised. Like I knew he was good, but I didn't realize he was like tough as nails, like postseason pitching god.
No, he's good, and no one would have. What makes this more important is no one really expected Merrill Kelly to be the ace. Everyone was like, "Yep, Zach Allen, he's got this in the bag. He's going to keep shoving all this." They're like, "Yeah, Merrill Kelly's probably going to get probably like a 5 inning quality start. He'll let up 3 runs." But no, that's not the case at all. And that's just I love to see it. And honestly, I think him pitching in the World Baseball Classic this year is playing a very vivid, like pivotal role into his
Mm-hmm.
postseason success because he did, if I remember correctly, he did pretty well in the big time there. He's doing well in the big time now. Things will be different without the World Baseball Classic. But I'm loving it. I'm loving this baseball I'm seeing right now.
Yeah, and like you said, we got a really interesting pitching matchup tonight. We got Mad Max Scherzer against another breakout star for the Diamondbacks, Brandon Pfaadt. I remember, I think was it episode 2 or maybe it was episode 1. We were concerned that
It was the first episode.
we were concerned with him starting game 1 against the Brewers, and he's kept it up through his entire postseason. He's got a 2.70 ERA, a 108 WHIP. He's only allowed like 2 home runs all postseason. So like, if he keeps this up next year, the Diamondbacks will have a legitimate shot to take the NL West from the Dodgers. I give them a better shot than the Padres or the Giants next year.
That will be a powerful top 3 rotation. Because Gallant will be good again. Mel Kelly will be good unless he gets injured, which I don't think is going to happen. And then Pfaadt will be in his first full year as a pitcher, as a starter. And being him as number 3 under those 2 like powerhouses of pitchers, they can take that division. And I'll book it right now. In 2024, the NL West crown will go to Arizona. For everybody that might think I'm crazy, for everybody that's going to think I'm crazy, the Padres aren't going to have Juan Soto in 2 weeks. The Giants aren't that good of a team. The Dodgers, yes, are good. Yes, they get Gavin Lux back. Yes, they'll get Dustin May back. They're the only team that concerns me, but they have a lot of players who are aging. and could fall off a cliff at any moment. Last I remember, let the kids play. This team is young. This team is powerful. They have Geraldo Perdomo, Ketel Marte, Christian Walker, Gabriel Moreno, Lourdes Gurriel, Alec Thomas, Corbin freaking Carroll, who's going to hear me out again. We'll double down on this. Corbin Carroll's going to be MVP candidate next year. We'll double down on my take right now. This team is good. They're going to bring in a few minor pieces. I don't see them making the biggest splashes. They're still a small market team.
Mm-hmm.
Who really wants to live in Phoenix, Arizona? I don't know. Not me. It's hot down there. I don't want to do that. And there's snakes down there, and I don't really mess with snakes that much. But they'll bring in a few. They'll do a couple minor moves. They'll bring in another veteran guy for the infielders. They'll probably bring in a veteran pitcher of some sort of caliber to be a good number 4 behind these top 3. They'll bring back their bullpen pieces. This team is going to be good. And this team will win the NL West. And everybody here is like, oh my goodness, this guy is crazy. Why am I listening to his takes? I'm right sometimes. And these are going to be one of the times that I'm right.
Yeah. I would say I'll throw on that pile that I would expect Arizona to be like a sleeper team for Matt Chapman in the offseason. Evan Longoria is getting older. They don't have I don't know what their minor league system is looking like at third base, but I think Matt Chapman would be the perfect fit for the Diamondbacks at third base.
All right. I'm only going to say this because we need to put a little bit of respect on his name. They have Jordan Lawler still, who is one of the top 10 best prospects in the system. However, I don't know if they're going to play him at second base or third base. Christian Walker's at first. That's locked down. Geraldo Perdomo, my king, is at shortstop. That's locked down. Third base right now, they are flip-flopping between Emmanuel Rivera and Longoria. Neither of those I see sticking. And technically, they got Ketel Marte. I think they're using Ketel Marte at second.
Yes.
Because that outfield is Alec Thomas, Corbin Carroll, Lourdes Gurriel.
Yep.
Because of Jordan Lawler,
like I said, they're not the front runners. I wouldn't expect them to heavily pursue him, but it's a sleeper option. I mean, I'm sure Jordan Lawler's great. I'm not trying to say that. It's just thinking if they're trying to capitalize on the core they have right now, getting a guy like Matt Chapman, maybe they could have Lawler DH, or if they bring back Tommy Pham, kind of split time between Chapman and Lawler, and see if what you got Lawler at second base as well. To give Ketel Marte some days off. So just an idea. It's just an idea. So
I like the take. Okay, I'm not dissing the take. I think it's a great take. Just with Jordan Lawler being looming in the ranks, and they still have the pieces of Longoria and like an Emmanuel Rivera and Ketel Marte who can go play anywhere. It'll be interesting to see if they do, but that's down the line. We're not worrying about that. We're worrying about right now with the World Series Game 3.
Yeah, and it's nice that it's 1-1 because it gives us the opportunity to actually like predict this series without saying if a team was up 2-0, it's like, oh, you're just picking them because they're up 2-0. No, it's a tied series. So thank you to the Rangers and Astros for doing that, making our lives easier in the prediction business.
Thank you.
I'll go first because I have a sneaking suspicion of what your prediction is going to be.
Oh man,
I think I picked the Diamondbacks to beat the Dodgers. I did have them beat the Dodgers.
Yes, you did.
Outside of that, I have picked against the Diamondbacks in almost every series this postseason.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as my brain would like to say, yes, pick or whatever, like go the other way because maybe they'll win, but I'm going to go with the Rangers. I know you got the next 3 games in Arizona. Man, it's going to be in 7. these two teams are really evenly matched. Both teams have a great top three in the rotation. I give the edge to the Diamondbacks with their bullpen for sure, but Jose Leclerc has been solid in spots.
Shut down.
He's been really good in spots. I don't know. They're just both teams have a good mix of veteran and youth. Obviously, with the Rangers, you got Adolis Garcia, you got Evan Carter, you got Jonah Heim as your younger guys, and then you also got the Corey Seagers, Marcus Semien, Max Scherzers of the world for the Rangers. So I like the Rangers a little bit more. Not to say that I don't think the Diamondbacks could win this series. They easily could. They have shown all postseason long they can go up against anybody in any environment. So, again, wouldn't be surprised if the Diamondbacks won, but I'm going to go with Rangers in 7.
Good take, but everybody, you all saw this one coming. They're still here. I'm not betting against them. For goodness sakes, let the kids play. Diamondbacks in 7. Diamondbacks in 7, as long as they take 2 or 3 in Arizona. Mm-hmm. If they do not take 2 and 3 in Arizona, well, they don't take 2 and 3 in Arizona, it's going to be a lot more difficult. But they did take game 6 and 7 in Philadelphia in the NLCS. So, really, anything can happen, but
I think it's like if they were to lose, like it would have to be like 2-2 heading to game 5. If you lose games 3 and 4 in Arizona, then I think it becomes a problem. But if you're going back to Texas and you're down 3-2, not a great spot, but it's better than like being down 3-1 or heading into game 5.
Yes. But this team, they got nothing to lose. I mean, both teams have nothing to lose. Let's be for real. Neither team really should be here. It's very, very clear. I was looking at the playoff odds. I think like Arizona was at like maybe a 2% playoff odds in the beginning of the year, and Texas was at maybe like a 5%. Like these teams are not supposed to be here. They both outperformed, got hot at the right time. But I cannot in my heart bet against Arizona Diamondbacks because of what they have been doing. And there's some players on the Texas Rangers that I really do not want to see win a ring. I mean, yes, I'll get into that later. However, the reason why, at the end of the day, I will still be okay with either side winning because I'm a Cardinals fan. But I got to see the Diamondbacks win because let the kids play. They're not supposed to be here. But if Jordan Montgomery gets a ring and then comes back to St. Louis in the offseason, I'm going to be okay with that. That is the only reason why I would be okay with Texas winning because Jordan Montgomery gets a ring and then he proceeds to come back to St. Louis. Book it.
All right.
But Diamondbacks in 7. These next 2 games in particular are going to be these games 3 and 4 will be the most important. It's going to be very interesting to see how Pavant does tonight. He was lights out in game 7. He's probably going to read his Bible and pray again, and the God's going to be on his side, and he's going to go lights out. But then again, this is Texas. They know how to hit. They are offense so good for no reason. But the Diamondbacks have shown that they can, and they will compete. So it can go either way, but at the end of the day, Diamondbacks in 7. That was all I have.
All right. Yeah, I like that a lot. I think that's again, like I said, either team can easily win this series either way. So it's going to be fun. The fact that Arizona was able to split makes this series a lot more fun to watch than it already was. So I'm excited for the rest of the series. But it has been a week, so let's quickly kind of recap how we got here in the first place with the Rangers and the Diamondbacks in the World Series. I mean, outside, just in the League Championship Series, flat out, the Phillies choked. They were going back to Philly, up 3-2, and then the four-headed monster of Schwarber, Harper, Turner, and Castellanos goes 1 for 28 in games 6 and 7, and they were trash. They were trash. They were just bad. I wanted to see him get in simply for Schwarber and Castellanos, but Craig Kimbrell reared his ugly head. This was not was it Atlanta Braves? Atlanta Braves, Craig Kimbrell. This was not 2021 Cubs, Craig Kimbrell. This was 2021 White Sox, Craig Kimbrell, and any other Craig Kimbrell that was bad.
That's an amazing way to put it too. Oh my goodness,
It's funny that we can say one player was like good and bad in the same year with two different teams like that. Like, 2021 Cubs Craig Kimbrell was good, but 2021
amazing.
White Sox Craig Kimbrell was awful. But yeah, so they choked. I don't know if you want to add anything else to that, but yeah, they just choked. That was plain and simple.
Well, actually, I do want to add one thing, and this is simply to make some Phillies fans mad. I want to know, how does it feel for Ketel Marte to own your team, to own your whole franchise? I would love to know how it feels, because that was crazy. What he did in that series, he's so good. He's so good.
He is.
But how does it feel for Ketel Marte to own your team? And how does it feel to get Blooper out of his hibernation just to start completely dissing on your team? I don't know if anybody here has seen what has been on Twitter since the Phillies lost, but if you go to Blooper's Twitter, and look at everything he was tweeting, so funny. I was tears of laughter. That's how funny it was. But I mean, at least Bryce Harper, at least your star, at least the GOAT of your team knows that he disappointed. And at least for now, feels bad. But oh well, you lost. I'm happy about it. Now Phillies fans can stop bragging about how good they are.
Very true. It was another good season for the Phillies. Just a big disappointment considering the perception of the Diamondbacks heading into that series. But let's go ahead and move on to the other series. What the hell is going on with the Astros at home this year? They were, I believe, 39 and 42 or something like that, 39 and 43 at home this year. And the reason they lost the series, they lost all 4 games at Houston. They swept the Rangers in Texas, but could not win one single game at home. And finally, for the first time since 2016, it's not a World Series with the Astros or Dodgers in it.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, and the last time that happened, it was the Cubs and Indians, now Guardians, for those wondering. So I'm happy for it. I'm happy to see some new teams, but how does a team play that bad at home in the playoffs?
I don't even know. You're supposed to play better at home, so it really doesn't make sense, because honestly, it was probably the pitching. They really did not pitch. I don't like Game 7. I don't know what happened, but everything fell apart when you're starting against. I don't remember who was starting Game 7.
Was it Javier? Christian Javier?
I think it was Javier. He got bounced. He couldn't even make it through one inning. They went to Phil Maton right away, and then Hunter Brown ate some innings and got shelled.
Yep.
I mean, I guess that's what happens when Mattress Mac constantly bets on your team, big amounts of money, and you lose. But I mean, I'm not surprised at this point. Every time he bets a big sum of money that the Astros are going to win, they've lost. I do not remember this guy ever making money off his team. But you know what? Good. I'm happy about it. Go bring your trash cans at home. Not in Arizona. Thank goodness. Disgusting.
Yeah, it's finally good to see the Astros fall down for once. I mean, the dynasty isn't over. They still have made it to 7 or 6 straight ALCSs. They're fine. They're fine. They'll if they can figure out their starting rotation, if they can add an arm, they'll be fine. But you know what have saved them from being so bad at home, Cy?
What?
Some good home insurance.
Erie Insurance says here's to the grown-ups who move, mortgage, mow, and still bust a move. But does your home insurance still fit? Erie helps you protect the home you've grown into, all at fair prices that are often less than the other guys. So how do you find the right coverage? Magic. Nope. Local independent agents who get to know you like this.
Your local Erie agent is Building Block Insurance Group. Get a quote today at 704-464-4544.
Erie Insurance.
And when you call our guy Jeff Fortepney at Building Block Insurance Group, make sure to tell them that Third Down Thursday sent you and that Cy, myself, and MJ are all better at him at Call of Duty. All right. This is a very exciting time for us here at Beer versus Ivy. If you've been keeping track of our social media pages and Third Down Thursday's media social pages, you know, we have a fantastic guest lined up. We're going to bring him in here right now. It is our guy, a scout for the Oakland Athletics for the Northwest Territory. He's been with the A's for 23 years. Mr. Jim Coffman, how you doing? Thank you so much for being on with us this afternoon.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Yeah, it was
25
awesome.
years.
Oh, 25.
Come on, Jackson. You got to get that spot on, man.
Hey, I'm looking on LinkedIn. It says 23 years and 10
You're right.
months.
You're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
A few of those were coaching years, so
Okay.
they added up quickly.
Yeah,
How are you guys?
Sure. We're doing well. It's been enjoyable to watch some baseball. Just all year long, even with the frustrations with the Cubs and Cardinals throughout the year. But baseball is good. Baseball was really good this year. I don't know. How was it like from your experience watching like some of the new rules this year with the bigger bases, the pitch clock, things of that nature?
Yeah, I don't know if it's my age or what, but it was a little concerning at first. But I think we've all blended it into our love of the game, and I think it'll work. So probably expecting a few more changes in the next couple of years. So looks like that's the road we're headed down, and nothing we can do about it. So might as well sit back and enjoy it.
I feel you right there. What have you been watching of the World Series so far? What do you think? Like, do you want to throw down a quick prediction for us?
I don't think I have a prediction. The Diamondbacks are playing so well, and I think they're playing a little bit more of how since I'm using my phone, they're playing a little bit of the old-fashioned baseball, on base and moving runners, and they got guys hitting balls in the gaps, not so much home runs. A lot of teams have kind of relied on the last few years, but so it's fun. I mean, these guys are running. I'm sure the bigger bases have a little bit to do with why we're seeing more stolen bases, but I think it's a good thing. Some of these players that can't hit the ball into the seats are getting time in the big leagues now, and showing some other aspects of the game.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I think just the biggest thing is, like you said, just seeing a different style of baseball than we're accustomed to. Because we saw what the Phillies, everyone was what the Phillies were doing, and they were, let's just hit home runs, and that's what we're gonna do. And then they go 1 for 28 in Game 6 and 7. So you got to mix it up at some point.
Exactly.
The long ball can't save you every single time.
It can. I mean, it's when it does, those are famous, like the Kirk Gibson home runs and Ozzie Smith home run, off of Eden Fewer and things like that. But yeah, for the most part, I mean, it comes down to pitching and defense, and I think the Diamondbacks, their pitching has obviously found its groove, and their bullpen has come through, and their starters are getting deeper in the games. But yeah, I mean, with Texas lineup though, I would never consider them out of anything. So it's going to be a fun. What do we got? 5 games left, so it'll be fun to sit back and watch, especially when I don't have a dog in the fight. And I did get to scout Corbin Carroll a few years, him being from Seattle. So you got to root for that kid. I mean, he's just a wonderful person, besides a great baseball player. So it's fun seeing him have success. And some of the knocks on him were that he was, small. But boy, the way that guy impacts a baseball, and he's been doing it for years. So it's fun.
I forget Corbin Carroll was from the Seattle area. I completely forgot about that until he had the interview during the All-Star game this year, and they were telling us, like, oh, he's only from like 15 minutes. His hometown's like 15 minutes away, and like all that stuff. So that's crazy.
Yeah, he played for City Baseball for years. I started hearing about him when he was in the 8th grade. Wes Long, who is a ex-Oakland A, when I was watching, he was one of our minor leaguers, and he runs City Baseball. And he told me when Corbin was in the 8th grade, this kid would be a star. And I remember asking him, like, how big is he? And he's like, well, he's like 5'4" and 130 right now. And I was like, wow, that's a pretty big prediction, for a guy. But he was spot on. He reminds me every time I see him too, that he told me that years ago. So been pretty special for a long time.
Wow, that is actually so crazy.
Yeah, to make that statement at such an early age of his career, because you know how things can go either way when they're young. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was pretty obvious when we started watching him, just his speed. And like I said, the ball comes off of his bat like it's I don't know if I've ever seen a kid that's, but he's very strong. He's wiry strong. He's just not real big, large frame, but the ball comes off so quickly and with such good leverage. It's fun to see.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask quickly, like, how did, like, from the time you were scouting him a couple of years ago, just where have you seen him kind of like grow the most into where he's performing at this level?
Yeah, I mean, his clock it started early. I mean, a lot of times, especially coming right out of high school, and he had a setback. His first year was here in Hillsboro, Oregon, playing for the Hops, and had an injury that sidelined him for the rest of the year. So he really didn't get to play much that first year, and then how well he's accelerated through the minor leagues, and obviously just see what kind of player he is. Top of the order guy, gets on base, who's going to steal bases, puts pressure on the hitter or on the pitcher, the catcher, the defense, because he's going first to third, he's going first to home on doubles. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun to see. I grew up a St. Louis Cardinal fan, and their whole thing was speed, and that's still ingrained in my head. Yeah, I heard you guys say something. You guys cover the Cubs and the Cardinals, so I still after the A's, that's who I pick up the paper and see how we're doing. And so I started watching the Cardinals when I think my first World Series was in '66 when I was 8 years old, and then all the way through the Gibson and Brock and Kurt Flood years and all that. And
Kurt Flood,
so yeah, that was. Still get a little feel like a little kid when I get to see them play on TV. Obviously,
you picked the right team outside of the A's to be a fan of. I'm as the Cardinals fan, I have to say, chose the right team.
Yeah, thanks. That's my dad. My dad grew up in St. Louis, and he moved out when he was 13 years old out to the Northwest, and he ingrained that in my two other brothers as well. We're all Cardinal fans, and still pull for them somewhat.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah. Si, I'll let you take this one. We've been talking a lot about Corbin Carroll, but Si, why don't you go ahead and ask this question?
So you mentioned Corbin Carroll, but since you've been a scout for 20, 23, 25 years now, who would you say is the best player you've gotten the opportunity to scout?
Well, we just had a right-handed pitcher, Noble Meyer, come out of our area. He's definitely the best pitching prospect I've ever seen. He's so far advanced in so many ways. His ability to throw strikes, the effort level, his effort, his direction, the ease in which he does it, the spin of his breaking balls, the hand speed of his changeup. He's just so polished. I don't think this kid's far from the big leagues right now, and he's 18 years old. So, with that being said, the best prospect I've ever witnessed, obviously, is Adley Rutschman. Switch hitting catcher with size, plus arm strength, power from both sides, the plate. His dad and I have been really good friends since college. We played about 10 years together. Back when we used to have these barnstorming teams before independent ball, we all stuck around and played till they kicked us off the field. But so his dad is probably the best renowned catching coach in the area. And we still, in fact, I'm doing a clinic on the 17th of November with Adley and Randy for Friends of Baseball here in Portland, which is a nonprofit group. And they do a great job with that. And Adley really helps them out and is trying to get inner city baseball back in Portland, which used to be quite the thing. It's gone downhill over the years, but hopefully they're back on task with some of this stuff, and the Rutschmans and their agency is doing a really good job of funding some of this and getting the word out. So we're going to get a lot of younger kids that probably are just starting out with this clinic. It'll be fun. But yeah, Adley just he stands out, obviously, and even in high school he was special, and then it got better in college. The best player I ever saw, wasn't amateur, but Hamilton, Josh Hamilton. I was coaching in the California League, and I remember he was playing for Bakersfield when I was in Visalia. He was such a game changer. I remember telling guys, this has to be what it was like seeing Mickey Mantle when he was young. Just the power, the speed, the arm. This guy would hit, he would hit a ground ball, beat it out, steal second, steal third, and score the winning run on a pop fly to shallow center field, which I saw happen to us. That's why that story is there. But he was just so dominating in the talent, and just watching him take BP and the way he fielded ground balls and threw, and such a talent. It was you didn't have to be a scout to appreciate what that guy brought to the game.
Wow, that's really cool. Your relationship with the Rutschmans. That's incredible. I mean, it was just fun watching him in that home run derby in the All-Star game. Just like I was not expecting him to switch sides in the middle of it and still hit pretty much as well as he did from both sides in that derby.
He did. What, 6 straight when he switched it over, right-handed, and the fact that his dad was throwing to him was pretty cool. And then being in the Northwest, that was fun.
Adley is one of my, honestly is becoming one of my favorite players of all time. I support the Orioles outside of the Cardinals, so that's I forget he's a Northwest guy. That's just he's so good.
Yeah, he really is. And that family, just like I said, they are, it starts with his grandfather, Ad Rutschman. He is the only coach in America that's in the Hall of Fame in baseball and football in college sports. He won several national titles at Linfield College. Won 2 as a coach in baseball, and at least I think he won about 5 or 6 in football, which was division. Well, it was NAI back then, but it's Division III now. And but their whole family, all athletes, and just really good people. That's the best part about the whole thing is what you see with Adley is how their whole family is in all situations. They're very calm and relaxed and confident, and you just have time for everybody. Just really good people. So it's fun. It couldn't happen to a better group. Watch the success that he's having.
Yeah, for sure. Not necessarily to be outdone. I have to ask. I don't know if some of these guys were in your area, but just what are your thoughts on the first at least partial seasons for Soderstrom and Geloff and Medina this year. Obviously, some of the bigger prospects you guys have had recently.
Yeah, I don't get to see them play other than I'll get a stream on occasion and watch AAA. But then I obviously got to see Geloff a bit this year. I think they're all right. I think Geloff is probably above. He's rose a little faster than we probably anticipated, but boy, that guy's got bat speed and plate discipline, and the way the ball comes off. And Soderstrom, he's so young to be in the big leagues. His ceiling is huge. I would imagine. Like I said, I don't get to see these guys play that often, and haven't been on the field for a few years, so I didn't get to see them in instruction league or anything. But I probably know about as much as you guys do on these guys. But yeah, they're exciting. It's exciting to have some young kids like that coming up, and I think we'll do well once we get established where we're going to be, and it'll be fun. I mean, other than just working for Oakland, it's fun to be a fan of the team. Just not having the big payroll and kind of them against the world type atmosphere that they present. And other than the last couple of years, we've done pretty well. I think we were in the playoffs like 8 out of the last 10 years until the last 2 years. But so probably 6 out of the last 10 we've been in the playoffs. So it's a fun organization to work for. The kids you draft usually get a pretty good shot at getting up to the big leagues, and we don't have a big turnover. We have limited players brought into spring training, and a lot of those kids get opportunities. So it's a good place to be.
Yeah, I just curious, just with some of the rumors like swirling around of like moving to Vegas and just the uncertainty. How have you like tried to deal with that and just trying to deal with it?
Well, I get asked that quite often. And before that was when Portland was a lot of rumors going around, a lot of interest here in building a stadium, and are you guys moving here? And then now I get asked the same thing about Vegas. I have no idea. Honestly, I spent 8 days in Oakland during the draft, and I don't believe there was one conversation brought up during the draft about us in Vegas and what's happening. So we were more focused just on the draft and the players, and the people that are taking care of that will take care of it. And I'm like everybody else. I'm just a fan that kind of sits back and tries to see where this is going, and we'll adjust when told to do so. So. But it's exciting. I mean, obviously, as a fan, I would hope we could stay in Oakland, and I don't know if that's a possibility any longer. But I would hope that would be the number one choice. I hate seeing that fan base lose a third team here in the last 6 years. So, but wherever they land, it'll still be it'll still be Oakland A baseball. A lot of the player development guys are still there that when I was coaching. So I know how we do things. I know how we develop pitching and young prospects. So it'll be exciting no matter which way they go.
Yeah. Sai, you got anything else to ask?
One question that I have is, since you've been a scout for a while, so what would you say is the biggest change in like how scouting has been working since you started?
Well, I think the fact that 3 years ago we had a 5-round draft, and now we've limited it to 20. That's the only thing that's really changed. I mean, we still go out and always in the back of your mind, you're probably not going to have a shot at some of these kids that would have been taken, later on from maybe smaller schools, junior colleges. So with 20 rounds, it changes a little bit of your perspective and how you go about scouting everybody. But as far as scouting a player, and if it's somebody that I'm going to write up and I'm going to grade their tools, none of that's changed. And I think Oakland, we still do a lot of the old style scouting. Obviously, with analytics and whatnot, that's a big part of the game still. And it always will be. And someone would be crazy not to utilize all that. But as far as just looking at a player and trying to figure out what they may be, that's basically what we're doing. We're projecting what these guys, what we think. And with the experience of coaching all the years I did, and it was a pretty easy transition to the new way things are happening with the draft and whatnot. You kind of got a better feel for what kids are going to accelerate faster. And but you always get fooled too. There's that 20th rounder or the kid that wasn't drafted. The next thing you look up and he's in AAA and he's knocking on the door. And those great stories will never end. I just I'm hoping as a fan that we get back to adding a few more minor league teams, especially the rookie levels, to let some of these kids play it out, and there'll be a lot of surprises, which there always is every year. So, but yeah, as far as the scouting side of it, I don't think that anything's going to change for a while.
Okay.
Nice.
So we were also just kind of curious, like, just kind of tell us like your journey through baseball. Obviously you were a AA reliever back in the 80s, and obviously now you're a scout. So just kind of tell us, and I've told us a little about how you grew up a Cardinals fan with your dad. Just tell us like your baseball journey.
Well, I grew up in a real small town, about an hour from Portland. It's actually north of here, right on the knob of Oregon, right on the Columbia River. I grew up 3 blocks from the Columbia River. So, probably 2,000 people in town, but most of the people that filled our schools were farmers and loggers and mill workers. So I grew up in that type of environment. But I grew up in a neighborhood that had so many athletes coming out of there. I mean, it was incredible. We had a football player that was the all-time leading rusher in NAIA history for years. And then I have a really good friend who played football at Oregon. Several kids played. Both my brothers and I, we both played 2 sports in college. We both played basketball and baseball. They both did as well. Played football from day one. And so I think that helped me a lot. But what really got me going with baseball was I got to go to a bigger town up the river and play 2 years of Legion ball, and started kind of getting an idea that I was good enough to play with the kids from Portland and some of the bigger schools. And so I got recruited to play basketball, but didn't have any offers playing baseball. And actually, while I was we were already in early practice for basketball, the baseball coach contacted me, and he knew my Legion coach. And he told me, he said, I think you need to get him out to play. So I went and basically kind of a tryout, just kind of walked on and started pitching for them, and that took off. And after 2 years, I had a choice to make: either continue playing small college basketball, or I got an offer from Portland State to go D1, and I did, and then had 2 good years there and got drafted in the 23rd round by the Padres, and kind of rose quickly after that. In 2 years, I was in AAA and playing in the Pacific Coast League, and it all happened so fast. It was and it ended quickly as well. So once I had a shoulder injury right an impingement, and back then they didn't catch that stuff till it was too late. So I literally have very little cartilage in my shoulder, but it was a good run. And then I just stayed in baseball after that. I could pitch about once a week and keep the pain, level down, and ended up actually getting re-signed by the Yankees. But I was trying to fool people at the time. I couldn't throw back-to-back days. The inflammation was so bad so they finally got wind of that, and that ended my professional career. But I just stayed in the game and had some good friends in it that kind of pushed me towards staying in it and coaching, and I did, and then ended up becoming a pitching coach with the A's for 8 years, and then slid over. Once my kids got a little older, they were really nice enough to let me get off the field and come home and be a family man and be a better dad. So I did that. I'm still doing that. So it's been, yeah. And then that's kind of the quick answer to that was just, never left the game. I've always been involved somehow. Got to go play in Australia for a bit, went to Europe for a while and played. And then, like I said, stayed in that world. And kind of hard to believe I'm 65 now and still put on a uniform every now and then. So it's fun.
That is so cool. I do have to ask, as a former baseball player, former pitcher myself, what was your like go-to pitch? Were you like a fastball heavy oriented pitcher, or were you like all into like the whole off speeds, like changeups, curveballs, all that?
Yeah, I was a sinker slider guy in pro ball, which is odd because in college I was I threw a curveball, I threw a changeup, because I was expected to throw a lot of innings. And I remember my last year at Portland State, like there was one series where I started one game and tried to close out two others. So I pitched in 3 out of the 4 games on the weekend, and we didn't have pitch counts, innings limits. It was just, fire a couple painkillers and go out and try to get them. And I had once our season ended, and then once I was drafted and then went into our little preseason workout, I had a good long rest, pretty close to a month, and just did nothing but light toss. And I remember the first bullpen I threw. I mean, I was pretty shocked as well as how quick the ball was coming out of my hand and how tight my slider was. And I remember my first bullpen, one of our coaches stood behind me and he was talking to the manager and he said, "There's our closer." And that started it. And I just got labeled as a closer and started doing that in short, stints, an inning here and inning there. But my first full season, I think I threw in 63 games. And so I was up almost, every night going into a game. So I got a lot of experience quickly on how to handle the emotions and all that. And still don't think I handled them all that well. I was always kind of a excitable guy and high strung, and it worked to my advantage. But in the long run, I wish I'd calmed it down a little bit. It's a little feisty on the mound. So, but yeah, it got me there quickly. I was, like I said, I got there in my second full season. I started off in AA and then got to AAA, and then finished that season the next year in spring trainings when I started having some shoulder issues, and tried to hang on as long as I could, but couldn't sustain it.
So
that is so cool.
How feisty on the mound are we talking? Are we like barking at umpires a lot, or what are we talking about?
Yeah, just I don't know. It was my upbringing, being a younger brother and having all these older kids, but that I grew up with. I think that I look back, that was some of it. Just when you go to bed at night and some either your brother or a neighbor that's a couple years older, you knocked you around and and beat you on the basketball court handedly. You start figuring out ways to try to. So I think being that middle child and having all those guys around made me feisty and fight. I would get into it occasionally and high strung a little bit, and somebody stared me down, I'd stare them back, say something, things like that. But not the way to go about things. But I think it helped me at the time. I think I used that small town, not getting the credit due type persona. I think I used it my ability, to my advantage in a lot of ways. So.
Okay. With that, like, who is like one of the guys that you remember facing that kind of just like was again and like a nuisance? Like he would like the guy who would like foul off like 7 or 8 pitches and like there's 2 outs and you're just trying to get one more out. Was there a guy like that you remember?
Yeah, there's a handful. The guys that I had trouble with were the short left-handed hitters with really short compact swing, more gap hitters. The big guys with big big swings, I always had a lot of success against, just because my slider was tight enough that you could see that they were getting fooled by the rotation and where the ball would end up. They'd swing over the top of it a lot. But those lefties could fight that pitch off. They would shorten up and foul things off. And then eventually, a lot of times, they would get that little flare down the left field line for a double, and you just wore yourself out trying to get this guy out and locate your pitches. And some of those guys that fit that bill back then, those were my toughest opponents, even in college or even afterwards. Any guy that could handle the bat. But my favorite guys to face were the big number 4 hitters, the big, tall, physical guys. I could run my fastball in on them, and then once you get them off the plate a little bit, then the slider, you can get them to chase, as long as I was throwing enough strikes. So, but yeah, it's a good question. Those guys still haunt me a little bit. And then they get on base and steal bases and whatnot. So it's kind of nice to see some of that coming back, like we were talking earlier.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. So I'm assuming you would not like to face Corbin Carroll right now if he were still.
No,
pitching.
he would be a nightmare. He is. If you just watch his balance, even on his takes are. He's so balanced. He tracks the ball. You don't see that guy swing out. When they try to elevate on him, which is where I would think you would want to throw him if you could get him to chase, but he doesn't chase that pitch. So now you're behind in the count. Now you got to come in there, and if it's a single, it turns into a double. If it's a double, it turns into a triple. Kind of fun to see the game kind of going back that way a little bit. So there's a few more in there. In is it Taylor, the other guy, the kid he platoons in center, or
Alec Thomas?
Yeah, Thomas. I mean, yeah, those two are similar in a lot of ways. They short, compact swings, ball jumps off their bats. They get on base, they cause havoc. Hopefully we're trending that way now for the next few years. We'll have a handful of those guys in the league.
Yep.
So Jim, I just had to hop in and say hi and steal these guys' thunder for like 2 minutes. Because I know you and I have been connected for a few years. So first of all, yes, good to see you. Good to finally face-to-face meet you. I just wanted to ask, I know, like, I've been following the A's for a long time, and I know you kind of talked about it a little bit. The only question I have for you, and then I'll hop out and let these guys finish up, is to be a scout for the Oakland A's, does it almost feel like your job is more important than for another organization because you guys do use the farm system so much, and not to knock scouts for other teams, but because of, the stereotypical money ball, like you said, a lot of the guys that you draft, almost all of them are going to get a shot at some point. So does it make it more fun for you when you're scouting these guys? Because it almost feels like sometimes the guys you pick and the guys you recommend and all of that can make more of an impact than on the average organization that's going to go spend $100-200 million.
I believe that's true. I mean, at least in my mind, it is. Like you said, a lot of the kids that we take, I mean, we took Brett Harris in the 7th round a few years ago, and he's in the Arizona Fall League right now. He's done really well. He rose up to AAA in 2 years. Kind of an older player, but with COVID and lack of scouting and seeing these guys play, I mean, for a kid like that to jump in and get an opportunity so quickly, it's fun for me, and it's something I can relay to the players and talk to them about it during the season. Like, listen, I know there's probably some stigma attached with Oakland and where we play in our stadium and things like that, but we're still a major league ball club, and we do things the right way, and we're not skimming the cream off the top and using that. I mean, we are developing players, and when I was a coach, that was ingrained in our minds as a coach was, listen, you spend as much time with the 40th rounder as you do the first rounder. And because some of these kids come out of nowhere. I mean, a lot of those kids that I even coached the last few years when I was on the field, 20, 30 round picks that end up in the big leagues. And they're always fun stories. But I do believe our guys get good opportunity. They get a lot of coaching. Our player development does a great job. And I know there's several other teams out there that do it as well. But I know a few years ago there were more Oakland A's draft picks in the big leagues. I didn't know the last 2 years if that's true, but I know about 3 years ago I remember reading where we had a lot of our draft picks were playing maybe for other teams. But so I think that says a lot to player development, scouting department. And I like the way we scout. I like the way that we get out and put our eyes on guys, and then to blend that in with the analytics department and get feedback from them, because they can always teach you something and show you something that you may miss. So it's a good blend, I think. Good group to be with.
And Jim, I got to ask, since you mentioned it, how in the world did you convince the Yankees that you weren't hurt? Did they not do a physical?
Back then, heck no. I had been released. I came home and I started pitching for this team in Portland. Well, I could pick up a ball on a Saturday and pitch. And Whitey Dehart, who was the Northwest Yankee scout, he watched me 2 games in a row, and I mean, everything was there again. But little did he know the next day I could hardly, use my right arm. And they needed some help in Double-A, so I went back to Nashville and spent about a little over a month with them at the end of the season. It was not a good situation. I didn't get to pitch. I pitched one time for them, but what was fun is I had Hoyt Wilhelm as my pitching coach, and he was the old knuckleballer, and he walked up to me one day. I was throwing a bullpen. He said, with his Southern drawl, he said, "Son, you are hurt." And I said, and I was like, "No, I'm not." And he goes, "No, I can tell by the way you're favoring your shoulder." And then they did some calls and found out. So end of the season, I think about a month later, I was released, and I knew the word was out by then. But at that time, you panic and you try to hold on, and maybe it'll go away. Yeah. Maybe you can fix it or something. But yeah, back then they didn't ask any questions. They would have called the Padres. They probably would have said, "Yeah, he's has shoulder issues," but they signed me anyway.
There you go. Well, Jim, I'll let these guys wrap up. But first of all, thank you for connecting with me years ago. Thank you for coming on today. And don't be a stranger. We'll be in touch, okay?
Appreciate the offer. Thank you. Take care, MJ.
Yes, sir.
All right. That was awesome. Shout out to MJ for hopping in. So I think you got another question for Jim here.
Yeah. So my last question I have is, what is like the most entertaining story you have, whether it's when you were a player, a coach, a scout, like if whether it be of yourself, whether it be of somebody else, like what is that one moment that's on your mind that is just super
entertaining? Boy. The one that all my friends remember and bring up all the time, and they try to tell me to tell the story, was I was in the Carolina League, and I had to cover home plate on a play at the plate, and Darryl Strawberry was at third, and it was a really strange situation. There was a rundown. The catcher left home. I stood there. He broke for home. I caught the ball. He was out by maybe 8 feet, and I thought he was going to slide. Well, he decided just to run through me. And I went flying. He got the best of me. He was a big kid. So I'm on the ground. He's above me. And right before he got up, he did a little knee drop on me. And he was out. The umpire looked for the ball. But anyway, so I got up. We got into it. We wrestled around for a few minutes, and they got us separated. And it was a heated game because we were, that was Lynchburg was in our division at the time, and I think we won 3 out of the 4 games to take the lead. But we got in a pretty good little scuffle there for a few minutes, and then they broke us up, and I ended up striking him out to end the game 2 innings later. And then both teams kind of emptied the benches again, and there was a lot of shouting back and forth and whatnot. So then I saw that guy the next year in AA, and I acted like I didn't know who he was because he was a monster then. I held my own pretty good because he was probably a year out of high school. But obviously that guy was 6'4" and about 220 in about a year, and he was a big strong guy. I would have messed with him that year. So, but that's one thing that I get reminded about a lot is just that to bring that story up and whatnot. So those were
I'm speechless. That is not what I was expecting to hear. That is I understand that your feisty attitude now. I understand it now. I completely get it. That makes so much sense.
Yeah. Like I said, when I coach and talk to, I'd see some pitchers that maybe had a little bit of those traits, and I would tell them about the, trying to stay focused and stay in the moment and not get too excited about, if you're not getting a certain pitch or somebody's saying something to you or whatever. I grew up at some point. Hopefully.
Yeah, for sure.
But that competitive edge never leaves you. If you've ever played any sports at all, the reason you were decent was because you're pretty competitive, and it never leaves. So.
Yeah. I was a former baseball player myself. Never got higher than sophomore ball or anything like that, but I understand what you're talking about.
Great experience though. No, when I coach kids now, which I do in the off season a lot, it doesn't matter what level you get to. I mean, it's life-changing experiences, the friendships. I told you earlier I played 2 sports in college. I am in touch with so many of my college baseball friends, and I haven't talked to anybody I played basketball with for probably 30 years. Just a different dynamic. There's something about the game that bonds players, and those memories you have. You still remember, all the games you played in, and all the horrible losses, and some of the comeback wins and things like that. But yeah, it's a special sport for sure, and no matter how far anybody gets in the game, you got to be proud of it and use it for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I look on that time very fondly, even if I wasn't necessarily that good, but I always, because it's just fun. I played baseball since I was 5 or 6 years old, and so to be able to keep doing that is just a lot of fun.
Absolutely. You can go play for whatever league your talent level allows you to play in. Go play it, and I played till I was in my 40s, so had a lot of fun doing it. A lot of good friends still from all that, so it's good times.
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful note to end on, and just how much we all love the sport of baseball. So, Jim, thank you so much for hopping on with us. It was
an
absolute pleasure to talk with you. Like MJ said, please stay in touch, and we'll hope to talk to you again soon. Maybe we'll have to have you on again.
Absolutely. Thanks for taking the time, guys. Had fun.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Have a good day, Jim.
You bet. Take care.
All right.
Take care.
All righty. Shout out to Jim Coffman for some awesome stories. And
that was
the stuff about Adley Rutschman and Corbin Carroll and getting run over and striking out Darryl Strawberry all in one game.
Anybody?
That's truly incredible. So thank you to Jim for that.
Thank you, Jim. I do have to add, you know what I think Darryl Strawberry could have used to avoid his little scuffle? Darryl Strawberry could have used some good old Dubby energy. For those who don't know, Dubby is a very special energy drink to us here at Third Down Thursdays. They are formulated to give you focus and energy with no jitters or crash. Their formula contains vitamins, amino acids, and non-tropics, including their patented neurofactor. They got no calories, no sugars, no fillers, no artificial colors. Such a good energy drink. I recommend it. All of us here at Third Down Thursdays recommend it. And if this energy drink sounds good to you, use our code Third Down Thursdays for 10% off at checkouts. And frankly, Dale Strawberry could use some of that, and maybe he wouldn't have dropped a knee on our guy Jim.
That was certainly one of the segues of all time. This is what you come for Beer versus Ivy. You get a Daryl Strawberry segue into some W Energy promos.
That is all time. That is all time.
All right, let's go ahead before we get out of here. Let's do a quick NL Central rumors and such roundup. Obviously, we'll focus on the biggest two here so we can get out of here. Let's start it off.
Here we go. The floor is yours, Jackson. Take this. I just look. I'm sitting back. My arms are crossed. I'm listening. Let's hear it.
It's all coming together, baby. It's all coming together. This is coming from Bruce Levine. He's been covering baseball for a long, long time. He was on 670 The Score a few days ago. He's saying there's some potential heat between the Cubs trading for the 25-year-old superstar Juan Soto from the San Diego Padres. Yeah, that was not one of the things I was expecting to see across my feed the other day, and just saying like, oh yeah, Juan Soto's a possibility. And then I think he said later on that I think it could potentially just take Christopher Morel to make it happen. Like that's a 1-for-1 Christopher Morel for Juan Soto because of all the money the Cubs would have to take on in a potential extension. I wouldn't go that far. I think the Padres would need something else besides Christopher Morel, because while a lot of people rag on Juan Soto's defense in the outfield, Morel hasn't really proven yet that he can be a reliable outfielder or third baseman yet. So I would imagine it would probably take Morel, maybe Kevin Alcantara.
Exactly who I was about to say.
And then maybe like a mid-tier like pitching prospect, kind of in the vein of like a DJ Hers, who they traded to the Nationals for Jamer Candelario. Mm-hmm. That's what I think it would take personally. Obviously, I'm not as well versed as Bruce Levine, but I think a Morel for Soto swap would be like one of the biggest. That would be like the biggest fleece of a trade of all time. And I love Chris Morel. He's already proven he can be a 25 home run plus guy. But you're talking about Juan Soto, who nearly hit didn't he hit like almost 300 or over 300 this year? 30 home runs, 11 over 110 RBIs, still had 12 stolen bases. Not the worst defender in the world. And you can honestly just slot him in as your everyday DH because you still have Ian Happ, who's a Gold Glover. If you keep Cody Bellinger, that's another Gold Glover. And you have Pete Crow Armstrong, who's a good defensive center fielder. And then you got Seiya Suzuki, who's at least an above average right fielder. So that makes a lot of sense for me. And there are days you can play Bellinger at first and you can have Soto in the corner spot and figure out center field with somebody else, maybe a PCA. Mike Tauchman or why am I forgetting his name? Why is it escaping me? He had that 5 RBI game and then didn't play again for a while. Oh shoot.
I know who about, now I can't think of him either.
Oh my God. I'll look him up in a second, but yeah, no, like it would be malpractice for if Jed Hoyer did not fully explore this, and with maybe some potential pitching ads, mostly on the bullpen side, I would say maybe one starter.
Maybe
that team is winning the NL Central, if not competing with the Brewers. And the NL Central, honestly, next year, if the Cardinals can rebound, the NL Central is going to be a gauntlet next year.
Cinema.
The Reds almost made the playoffs. The Cubs almost made the playoffs. The Pirates were like 7 games under 500, which is a massive improvement considering where they've been. Cardinals had a down year, but maybe if they add some pitching, they could be good again. And then the Brewers, pitching. Yeah, we'll see.
When we add pitching.
We'll see. And then the Brewers, they just won the division. That they may shift based on what we're about to talk about next. But Cubs add Juan Soto. I think they would have, and a little bit of pitching. I think they would have the slight edge.
They would be the edge.
They would be the slight betting favorite to win the NL Central next year.
All right.
And I would love Juan Soto hit tanks at Wrigley and Busch Stadium against the Cardinals. That would be a lot of fun to watch.
There he goes.
Hey, it's Beer versus Ivy.
You're right.
Come on,
you're
man.
right. You're right. But on the topic of Juan Soto, so I pulled up his base reference page.
Mm-hmm.
And this is all I have to say. You're telling me that Juan Soto, who hit 275 with 35 home runs, 109 RBIs, a 930 on-base percentage, 519 slugging. You're telling me that is going to get traded, one for one traded for Christopher Morel. I don't know if your source. I don't know if he's face first in the Kool-Aid, but he needs to get out. He needs to get out. That is bonkers. That won't happen. It's simple as that. I can see Morel being the. Hold on. I can see Chris Morel being the headliner, and I'm gonna put it in quotes. That's why I laugh, because I'm like, there's no way I'm about to say this. But there needs to be a Kevin Alcantara in there. There needs to be a. I don't know the Cubs farm system. I would say a mid-tier to a high-tier pitching prospect, and the Cubs will have to pay whatever money Juan Soto wants.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why are you going to give up all of that to get 1 to 2 years of Juan Soto? You're not going to. If the Chicago Cubs are trading for Juan Soto, they are trading for him knowing that they're going to sign him to a probably 10-year, $300 million extension.
Which he would only be 35 at that point. Like,
it could easily
just to think about that, like, we see a lot of these big contracts that were given to Trey Turner, they'll be like in their late 30s when that contract ends. The same thing. I think the same thing is true with Castellanos. Mm-hmm. The fact that the Cubs could give him a 10 to 11 year deal and he'd only be 35 or 36.
Only be 36. Just only.
That's ridiculous.
He's been in the league since 2019. He's only 25. What?
Yeah.
What? Doesn't make sense.
So I was just looking at the Cubs farm system, and the guy I couldn't think of, Alexander Canario. It was the guy, their outfielder the Cubs could use in the rotation with Juan Soto. But I would say you're probably looking at like a Jackson Ferris or maybe like a Drew Gray as that like mid-tier pitching prospect.
Ferris was the guy who I was thinking of.
Because the Cubs aren't giving up Cade Horton. No. They're not giving up Ben Brown.
No.
Probably won't give up Jordan Wicks, considering he just made the MLB this year. I'd say probably.
Hold your breath on that one. Out of those three, Wicks is most likely to go. Ben Brown has, unless the Cubs front office is in their Kool-Aid too, then they might pull the trigger on Ben Brown. Cade Horton is the only one who's safe. I'm a very, very biased Cardinals fan, but I'm telling you, out of all your pitching prospects, Cade Horton's the only one that's safe. There's too much stock into him. He is way too good. The Cubs will be dumbfounded to give him up because Justin Steele is going to need some help in that rotation sooner rather than later. Hate to break it to you, but
that's part of the reason why.
Outside of Justin Steele, the rotation it's an average rotation. Tyon blew this year. Stroman is hit or miss, depending if he's one of those temper tantrum on the mound or not. Hendricks is old. Drew Smiley's old. I like Javier Assad, but I just don't know. I think he's capped out already. He's good. Good.
I think he could be like
I know that is your boy.
A 4 or 5 in a rotation. I'm not saying he'll be a 3 or 2.
That's cool. 5 is cool. Steele's the 1. Ben Brown is just in my head, that is your number 3 next year. Not Ben Brown. Cade Horton. I don't remember.
I don't know if he gets to the majors that quickly. I mean, I know he's already in Double-A, and that's part of the reason I want to trade Jordan Wicks, because he played really well once he got called up.
Because right now, Wicks is like that 4 starter. It's realistically, it's looking at that Cubs rotation right now. In my head, it's Steele's the 1, Stroman's the 2. Yes, Tyon Blue, but Tyon's probably the 3.
He had some good moments in the second half of the season.
He did. That's why he's the 3, and he's a vet.
Mm-hmm.
Wicks is at 4. Assad is at 5. That's not terrible.
Right.
You still have Kyle Hendricks, who I don't know what you're gonna do with Kyle Hendricks.
Yeah, it's a 16 or $12 million player or team option.
That's a sore subject. I don't know what's gonna happen with Hendricks, because if Hendricks comes in, Hendricks is the 5. But then it's, what are you doing with Assad? What are you doing with Wicks? One of them is bound to become some sort of trade piece. Knowing you also have all this pitching in the farm.
Yeah.
I see a lot of different ways this can go.
Yeah, I would say Assad would move to the bullpen at that point, because once Stroman came back and was put into the rotation at the end of the year, they put Assad back in the bullpen, which is great. Like, I love Javier Assad as a starter or in the bullpen, so that's fine. It just, again, it comes down to if the Cubs are going to add another pitcher in free agency or via trade. Are they going to add, like, they're not probably going to add like a Blake Snell or Aaron Nola, but if they add somebody solid, do they bring back Hendricks and have him be the 5 and trade Jordan Wicks? But I think in that case, you probably let Hendricks go and have Wicks be your 5. And then,
only time to tell.
Yeah. Only time. And I think another guy that could be moved would be Caleb Killian. I think that's another pitching prospect that probably moved. He hasn't been as good yet, but obviously it's tough. He was one of the 2 prospects that the Cubs got in the Chris Bryant trade with the Giants.
KB.
So we'll see how that goes.
They won that trade, by the way.
What's that?
Cubs won the Chris Bryant trade, by the way.
Outside of maybe like the Rizzo trade was the only kind of in terms of what we've gotten back. But
they got Ben Brown, right? They got Ben Brown from the Yankees, right?
No, we got Ben Brown from the Phillies for David Robertson.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's how we got Ben Brown.
That is a fleece job.
Yeah.
Ben Brown is he's good. I don't like the Cubs, but I know Ben Brown is good.
That's how we get Ben Brown. What else? Yeah, I think it was Caleb Killian, and I think it was Alcantara was the other guy, or did he get from the Rizzo trade? I can't remember where we got Alcantara from, but anyway,
it's not important.
Anyway, but yeah, so I'm excited. This offseason is off to a crazy start for the Cubs in terms of rumors. We said before they've been linked to Pete Alonso, now Juan Soto. Of the 2, I would prefer Juan Soto, lefty power bat.
I would prefer neither.
Well, I know, but in terms of who cares about your opinion? Okay, who cares about that right now?
But okay, I'm just going to say something. I don't even want to say it. I don't even want to say it now. You know what? Whatever. I'm going to say it anyways. I would prefer Juan Soto because I don't like Pete Alonso. I like Juan Soto. I can get behind. I can root for Juan Soto.
You could be okay with seeing Juan Soto hit tanks against the Brewers, Pirates, and the Reds.
But I just do not want Pete Alonso to have anything to do with Chicago, because then my hatred for him is only going to grow. My hatred for Juan Soto will not grow. My hatred for Pete motherfucking Alonso will skyrocket, because polar bear can stay where it's cold. He does not need to come to the farmlands.
All right, All right, well, let's get you simmered down a little bit, and let's end this out with some potential good news for the both of us. Is that Mr. Craig Counsell may potentially be leaving the Milwaukee Brewers. I think a week or 2 ago, he was scheduled to meet with the New York Mets, and then we got a report yesterday that he is going to be meeting with the Cleveland Guardians. Stephen Vogt is also potential spot for the Guardians for manager. Leave, Craig. Go with your boys in New York, or go replace Terry Francona in Cleveland.
Go replace Terry Francona. That is okay. I need to go. I'm gonna go on my little ramble because
you let me have the Juan Soto. I'll let you have this.
Mine. Dear Craig Counsell, go to Cleveland. Look at that team. Look at what you can inherit. Yes, you won't have as good of a pitching rotation, but you'll have Shane Bieber, Tris McKenzie, Tanner Bybee, Logan Allen. You got some young arms that you can take in and create a new three-headed monster with. So there's that. You have the young, you have Gabriel Arias. You got Arjus Menace, Stephen Kwan, Bo Naylor, Josh Naylor. You got a very young, you have a young core. You have the one of the GOATs himself, Jose Ramirez. Yes, Jose Ramirez is a GOAT. Yes, he's underrated because he's in Cleveland.
They got Kyle Manzardo in the Savale trade.
Such a steal. Manzardo, who? You'll find out. You'll find out. But this is why. This is the real reason why Craig Counsell leaves. Do you really want to have to deal with this gauntlet that NL Central is about to come with? No. Take the pussy way out. Respectfully, take the pussy way out. Go to AL Central where it's weak and where you can create the AL's version of the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah, I think
get your team to the playoff, get them to the wild card round, get them to the ALDS, and choke every single year. Because that's what you're doing with Milwaukee. So why don't you just take it out of our division, where then your team will suck? Because let's keep it a buck. Sorry, Milwaukee. Burns is getting traded this offseason. I know you
Willy
don't want to
Adames could be traded as well.
Willy Adames might leave too. Your team is not going to be very good in about a few months. This offseason is going to hit. You're going to see all the other teams in NL Central get good, and you know what you're going to do? You're going to do the most Milwaukee Brewers thing ever. You're going to sit in your hands, kick your legs, and you're just going to watch. Because that's what Milwaukee does. They're Chicago North for a reason. They are the little brother of the NL Central. Yes, that's even comparing you to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's probably going to be better than next year. Woodruff's injured. Freddie Peralta is going to get angry, especially when Adames leaves. That's his bromance of the year. Willie's going to leave. Corbin Burns is going to leave. His team's going to suck. And then those guys are going to be there. That means Mark Canha's going to become the face of your franchise. Who? Why? Yeah, exactly. Christian Yelich is good. You paid him all this money. But, this team is not going to be good. And you're going to watch every other team get good. So just get your manager out of there. Get our boy Rick Renteria in there. Rent a manager. give him the year. Maybe even two, because it's Milwaukee. They're gonna be like, this is our guy. 4 years. Right here. Come on. Just Craig Counsell, do me a favor. Do me a solid. And leave. Because if you leave, then the players are going to want out because people like Craig Counsell. Why? I don't know. He kind of looks like a corn stalk. Let's be for real. but just go to Cleveland. Go make the Milwaukee Brewers of the AL Central. And that's all.
Wow. I
don't think I could have said it any better than that.
So I did do a quick Google search. Some potential names could be like Pat Murphy, who's been with Craig Counsell since 2016. Stephen Vogt is another potential option.
I would like that
as well. So
I like Stephen Vogt.
I think those are potential options if Craig Counsell does leave. I think he will. The fact that he didn't get a contract extension at some point. The fact that
he's interviewing with two teams now is very, very eye-opening. And then that also means you can add Milwaukee to the carousel of teams that are now looking for a manager. Yep. Let's make things even more interesting. There'll be the 5th or 6th team that needs a manager. That's saying something. That also shows they're really pulling the Cardinals. This is when the Cardinals won the NL Central 2021. I think it was 2021, or maybe it was 2020. I don't know. After one of those years,
2020, the Cubs won the Central. 2021,
I think it was 2021. I think it was. So I know we fired, or no, I don't remember, but we fired Mike Schultz. We were a good team. Fired Mike Schultz. The Brewers pulled 2021 Cardinals and then fire their manager. Then they suck because they get a rookie manager in there. I will laugh my booty off because I think that's funny, and I don't like the Brewers, even though their stadium's cool and their mascot's kind of cool. I want to go head first on that slide so bad. But please, Craig, go to Cleveland. Go to Cleveland. Go make Tanner Bybee the next Corbin Burns. Please. Go turn Christian McKenzie into an ace. Please. Just leave Milwaukee. Go be a cheesehead somewhere else. Please. That's all.
That would be nice. And I did check. The Cardinals did they didn't win the division in 2021, but they won 90 games. So that was close enough.
I think we fired Mike Schultz due to personal conflicts.
But
bullshit.
Yeah. Anyway. So with that being said, you know who the Brewers will need if Craig Counsell ends up leaving them?
Some good insurance.
And they're going to need Mr. Card Guy. There we go. Alrighty. Well, that was an awesome show, Cy. Anyone who's still in here, feel free to ask any questions you got. We really appreciate everyone that was in the chat today. That was a fun show. Again, shout out to MJ for setting up that interview with Jim out here. That was just incredible. Jim Coffman, Northwest scout for the Oakland A's. That was huge. That was a lot of fun.
I am really happy. I just made the best. I made the best transition of all time. Like, I'm quite proud of myself for that. However, there is a realization that I just made.
What's that?
Our card guy kind of looks like Craig Counsell. I was just looking, and I'm just looking at that face, and I'm just like, you look familiar, and then it all clicked. And it took me 5 episodes for it to click, but it did. And I think it's quite funny.
Oh, I'm happy it clicked for you there. All right, I think that's gonna do it for this latest episode of Beer versus Ivy. Make sure to watch the World Series tonight. I think Game 3 is tonight.
Yes.
All right, Mad Max versus playoff star Brandon Pfaadt. Make sure to tune in, and we'll probably be crowning a World Series champion the next time we see you guys.
Yes, hopefully we will. I think we will. I'm pretty sure we will. But I will say this, just because I need to say this for anybody placing a bet tonight. Do not bet on Max Scherzer. If you're betting on him, bet the under. He's going to get shelled again. I learned my lesson the hard way. Don't do it. But there's my general bet. I'm not betting on the pitchers. I can't do it. It also makes things more complicated to bet if I want to bet on a pitcher, because then I can't bet on the other team's batters. It's stupid. Underdog, please fix that. Or don't. I don't really mind. Love you, Underdog. Sponsor us, please. But there's my parlay for tonight. I'm only betting $3 because we degenerate bet over here. We just hope it hits. Yeah. Let's go down bets.
All right.
Actually, let's go Orioles and let's go Adley Rutschman. Actually.
Yeah, maybe we can sneak in an Adley Rutschman interview during the off season. Who knows? We'll have to try it sometime. So, all right. Thank you everyone for watching, and we will be back next week to potentially crown a World Series champion. Peace, everyone.